Howdy y'all, and welcome to this special June outlook. Hard to believe we're already halfway through the year already. Where does the time go? But before we get into what we could expect for the month ahead, please take this outlook with a grain of salt, as anything over a week out is virtually impossible to forecast, as we cannot accurately predict the future. Now, before we get into what we could expect for the month ahead, let's go ahead and get into the key factors that influences our weather for the month of June, which includes the ENSO pattern, QBO, AO, and MJO. Starting with the ENSO pattern, you are probably more familiar with this one, as we typically go from El Nino to ENSO neutral to La Nina. It's looking like we're going to be in an emerging El Nino, which means basically we're going to be dealing with a warmer north and west. We're going to be dealing with a stronger Gulf moisture. It's going to be returning, which usually means that we could be dealing with some increased storm potential. And as we take a look at the Climate Prediction Center probabilistic ENSO outlook, we can see that we are going to be heading into a very strong El Nino here as we head into the summer, fall, and even the winter months. And I will have my hurricane outlook video up by Thursday or Friday, so stay tuned for that, as I'll be breaking down how this could play a role in our hurricane season, as June is the kickoff to hurricane season, so stay tuned for that. And we'll also take a look at the sea surface temperatures as well here in a little bit. Now, the QBO, AO, and MJO, I know those are a little bit more confusing. I bring them down a little bit more simply here down the bottom, and y'all pretty much know what QBO means. Typically plays more of a role in our winter weather than that does our spring, summer, and fall weather, but it can still play a role in our weather for the month of June. You can see both the QBO and AO has more of a stratospheric influence, which, as we can see down here, we're going to be in an easterly QBO, which basically means this supports a variable mid-latitude flow and shortwave activity. AO is going to be trending neutral, which means occasional high latitude blocking and western ridging, which basically means that we're going to be dealing with a warmer west and north. Also could mean it could be pretty dry out there as well. MJO deals with tropical convection, could mean that we could be dealing with enhanced early June activity as far as severe that goes anyway in the south central part of the country into the southeast. And as you can see, severe weather outbreaks are going to be likely here in June because of the MJO. It also could mean some flooding in store as well, so there could be some drought relief in the southeast for y'all down there in Florida in the southeast. Just some good news. And to wrap this all up, basically what this means is basically dealing with a warmer than normal north and west, like I said earlier. Above normal rainfall in the south and east, as y'all do need it down there. Active severe weather potential across the plains. And tropical moisture surges, which fuels heavy rain and storms in the areas that do need the rain the most. So strong El Ninos going to be likely here, and this could mean a dry west and a soggy south pretty much. So on to the weather models here. We're going to take a look at all of the weekly and monthly models. Basically the GEFS, Euro Weeklies, CSV2, and CMC are all the weekly models, while the Euro Seasonal, CSV2 seasonal, and the CanSIP seasonal are all the monthly models. And I'll also show you, after I get done showing you all the temperature and precipitation anomalies, I'll show you all the expert guidance at the Climate Prediction Center, and then I'll show you my bold prediction of what we could expect for the month ahead. So onto the GEFS extended here, and taking a look at the temperatures. I'm going to change it up on y'all as I typically show y'all the precipitation first, but I'm going to show y'all something pretty surprising here, as it's looking like the beginning of June is going to start off on a cool note here out east, while the upper Midwest, northern plains, and northern Rockies could be above average to start off June. So this is very surprising, as usually June starts off on a hot note. It's looking like just the opposite here for this June if we stick with the GEFS anyways. And it's looking like it's going to persist at least until the middle of the month, as it's looking like warming trends going to be possible here in the Great Lakes and Northeast, with the Mid-South being a little bit below normal. So it's looking like more of the country is going to be heading into an above average pattern, but still leaning a little bit below normal here out east. Head off into the end of the month. Sort of a mixed bag here out east, leaning a little bit below normal. Some areas a little bit above normal, but overall, central and western part of the country, if we stick with the GEFS model, is going to be above average for the month of June. Look at the Euro Weeklies here. We can see the southwest into the west coast going to be below average, well below normal here in Nevada and parts of California. Also below normal here out east, but the only areas coming in on above average temperatures here to start off June is going to be up here in the central to northern plains, upper Midwest, and a little bit of the northern Rockies. Rockies as well. Head off into the middle of the month, we can see a little bit more of the country coming in on above average temperatures, while the southeast and a little bit of the eastern part of the country is coming in on below normal temperatures. So the eastern part of the country could be a little bit cooler than normal for the month of June, which is very surprising. Head off into the end of the month, more below average temperatures expected here out east, with above normal expected here in the central and western part of the country, which really this is no surprise. We take a look back at the key factors here. The ENSO pattern favors a warmer north and west. So definitely no surprise there, but the main surprise is that the eastern part of the country is going to be cooler than normal, which this could spark severe weather, by the way, as the key factor showed us that basically we're going to be dealing with some convection here in June, which means that we're going to be dealing with a lot of Gulf moisture. It means that we could be dealing with a lot of flooding and a lot of heavy rainfall here in the southeast and some potential severe weather here in the central plains. And we'll get into that here in a little bit as well. But basically, all the models are showing us so far that basically the eastern part of the country is going to be cooler than normal, while the western part of the country is going to be warmer than normal. Onto the CSV2 here. This is my favorite model. And you can see why. Basically, it's pretty easy to see who's going to be below normal and above normal. But all the models are in agreement so far at the beginning of the month that the southwest into the northeast can be below normal, while the northern Rockies, upper Midwest, and central to northern plains can be above average. Now, as we head off into the middle of the month, sort of a mixed bag here out west. Below and above normal is expected for much of the Rockies, but looks like the north central plains going to be above average, while the eastern part of the country is also going to be a mixed bag, but sort of leaning up below average out there. Some areas could be above average here in Virginia, West Virginia, and North Carolina. Head off into the end of the month, we can see really much the same story, honestly. See the Rockies into the northwest leaning a little bit below average. The plain states, mainly here in the central and northern plains, going to be above average. Southwest is going to be above average. Leaning below average here out east, but some areas could be above average as well. So this model differs from the rest of them. Now, what does the CMC have to say? This is my least favorite model. Still going to take a look at it anyways. We can see all models are in agreement here at the beginning of the month, as it's looking like the southwest into the northeast leaning below average. The only difference is Florida's going to be above average. Still, northern plains, northern Rockies, upper Midwest, above average as well. So that's pretty much locked in at this point. But we're still going to take a look at all of the monthly models. Head off into the middle of the month. Now, this model differs between all of them. We can see the central and eastern part of the country above average, while the southwest is going to be below average. Now, I would probably be in disagreement with that, honestly, but we can see end of the month also differs between all of the different models that we've already taken a look at. Now on to the monthly model, starting off with the Euro seasonal. Now keep in mind, this model has a warm bias compared to the rest of the models, and we can see here that really nothing new when it comes to the Euro seasonal, as it's showing much of the country heading into a warmer than normal pattern, unless you live down here in Texas. And of course, more whites means more uncertainties, means either below or above normal. Now onto the CSV2 here, we can see that the western part of the country locked in out there on y'all being above average. Some areas could come in on below average temperatures out there. Below average here in the south central plains into the southeast. Sort of a mixed bag here in the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, Mid-South, but looking like the northeast could be above average if we stick with the CSV2. Now onto the CANSIPS. This model is in alignment with what experts show us at the Climate Prediction Center, and we can see that surprisingly the central part of the country is heading into a below average pattern. Southeast, y'all gonna be above average. Western part of the country, above average. Northeast, sort of a mixed bag, but I would say leaning below average out there. Upper Great Lakes, above average too. So on to the expert guidance here, we can see the Climate Prediction Center is showing that much of the country is heading to an above average pattern with equal chances here in the upper Midwest, Great Lakes, and Northeast, and it's down here by Texas. Now that means either above or below average. I would probably expect eastern part of the country to be a little bit cooler than normal for the month of June. Now, of course, please take that with a grain of salt, of course, can and will change. And as y'all saw in some of the models, that some of them showed that the eastern part of the country is heading to a warmer than normal trend. But of course, the majority of the models were showing a little bit cooler than normal. So I would probably expect the eastern part of the country to be cooler than normal, while the western part of the country to be hotter than normal for the month of June. This could also spark severe weather, as I said earlier, as we could have some Gulf moisture come up and cause some flooding down here in the southeast, as y'all do need the rain down there, and spark some severe weather here in the central part of the countries. We had warm air fighting the cold air, and usually that sparks severe weather. As shown here, you can see stronger Gulf moisture is going to be returning, which increases the storm potential according to what our ENSO pattern has to show us. as well as the MJO as well. As you can see, early June convection could be in store. So what does our precipitation pattern have to show us? And back to the precipitation models here, we can see here on the GEFS that the southeast all the way into the south central part of the country heading into a above average precipitation pattern, as well as up here in the northwest, unless you live up here in northwest Washington. And it's also looking like the northeast, Great Lakes, upper Midwest, and northern plains is going to be a little bit below normal. So it could be dry here in the northern half of the country and pretty soggy here in the southeast and south central part of the country. And this could spark some severe weather and flooding down here in this region here. Head off into the middle of the month. It's looking like a little bit more of the mid-south is going to be coming in on below average precipitation, but the southwest is going to be coming in on above average precipitation. So it's looking like much of the country. So we head into the June 8th time frame as we inch closer to the middle of the month is going to be heading into a below average pattern. Unless you live down here in the southeast down by Florida, y'all could be getting some drought relief as we head into the beginning and even the middle of the month if we stick with the GEFS. So we look at the 17th time frame, inching closer to the end of the month actually, we can see that more of the eastern part of the country is going to be heading back into an above average pattern, as well as up here in the northern plains. And we can see the west coast, y'all are coming in on below average precipitation out there. Head off into the end of the month, much of the same story really. Looks like the eastern part of the country is coming in on above average precipitation, while the northwest is going to be drying out, and the northern Rockies is going to be pretty wet. Well, and if you're taking a vacation down in Mexico, the month of June is going to be pretty soggy down there, so prepare for that if you head down there during the summertime vacation season, as those kiddos are officially out of school. Now on to the Euro weeklies. Really the same story here as well at the beginning of June, as it's looking like the southeast into the south central part of the country is heading into an above average precipitation pattern. Much of the northern Rockies as well. Northwest Washington's a little bit below average, but the rest of the country is looking to be below average into sort of to be determined land here in the southwest. Head off into the middle of the month, we can see same story here as well. Mid-south is going to be below average as we inch closer to the middle of the month. Northwest heading into a below average pattern. Southwest a little bit above average, so there could be some severe weather potential here and West Texas into New Mexico. So some good chase days could be in store out there for those who chase storms like Vince does. Vince catches some nice storms out there, including dust devils. Been watching him as of late. He's been pretty good at chasing some dust devils here as of late, so go check him out if you haven't done so already. But Southeast also looking like y'all are coming in on some drought relief, which is some good news. Head off into the middle and sort of the end of the month. Looks like majority of the eastern part of the country is going to be heading into an above average pattern. Much of Mexico is above average as well if y'all head down there during the summer vacation season. Northwest, sort of a mixed bag out there, but pretty much the GEFS and Euro Extended are showing us pretty much the same story so far, with the beginning of June being below average up here in the Ohio Valley, Great Lakes, Northeast, Upper Midwest, and a little bit of the Northwest, while the Southeast into the South Central part of the country and a little bit of the Rockies coming in on an above average pattern. And then of course at the middle and end of the month, eastern part of the country is above average, while the western part of the country, I would expect a drying pattern to be in store out there. Now on to the CSV2, which is my favorite model, and you can see why here, because it's pretty clear to see who's above and below average. Pretty much the same story here between all the models so far, with above average precipitation expected here in the southeast into the south central part of the country, with a drying trend in store here in parts of the northeast, upper Midwest, and Great Lakes and northern plains. The only difference is I would say the southwest is going to be below average, west coast below average, a little bit of Rockies above average, but really so far all the models are in agreement so far. And this drying trend is definitely welcomed, as we did come in on a lot of rainfall here in the Ohio Valley, close to 8 inches for the month of May so far, and May ain't even over yet as of recording this video. So been a pretty soggy month of May, and it's looking like to start off June, it's going to be pretty dry here in the Ohio Valley, so definitely much needed. And it's much needed down here in Southeast as well, as you are coming down on an above average precipitation pattern, so could be pretty soggy down there, which is going to be good for the drought conditions down there. Now as we head off into the middle of the month, really it's looking like we're going to be drying out here amongst much of the eastern and northwest part of the country, and going to be really soggy here in the southwest. And as we head into the middle and end of the month, according to the CSV2, it's looking like much of the eastern part of the country is heading into an above average pattern, while the western part of the country is sort of a mixed bag between below and above average precipitation. And of course, heading to the end of the month is looking like much of the country is heading into an above average pattern, unless you live in the west coast or southwest Texas. Now on to the CMC model. This is my least favorite model, but we're still going to take a look at it anyways. Now we can see all of the models agree with each other that the southeast into the south central and a little bit of the Rockies coming in on above average precipitation, while the rest of the country is coming in on a drying pattern. Head off into the middle of the month, we can see that the eastern part of the country is heading into an above average pattern, unless you live down here in Texas, Louisiana, and parts of Mississippi. We dry down there. Northwest, sort of a mixed bag between dry and wet, while the southwest is sort of a mixed bag as well. Head off into the end of the month. It's looking like a little bit more of a drying pattern could be in store here in the upper Midwest. And really, this model is showing us really to be determined for much of the country, unless you live down here in the southwest. So on to the monthly models here, we can see, according to the Euro seasonal, for the month of June, looking like much of the central and eastern part of the country is heading into an above average pattern, while the northwest is heading into, I would say, a drying pattern, with the southwest and northeast being a little bit of a mixed bag between above or below average, sort of to be determined. That's what the whites mean here. CSV2 model, well, they're showing us, surprisingly, that the southeast is coming in on below average. I would actually be in disagreement with this. I think the southeast is going to be coming in on well above average precipitation for the month of June, but you never know. Why I put the disclaimer at the beginning of the video that really anything over a week out is virtually impossible to forecast, so definitely, again, take this with a grain of salt. Northeast also below average, I would be in agreement with this one. And Northwest also being below average, I'd be in agreement with that as well. Now, the central part of the country is looking to be above average, and I would be in agreement with that too. So I'm thinking we could be coming in on an active month of June here in the central part of the country, and some flooding potential here in the southeast. Now, the CANCEPS model, this one is typically in alignment with what the experts have to show us at the Climate Prediction Center most of the time. Now, sometimes they're not, but majority of the time they are. Now, we can see here for the month of June, they're showing us more below average precipitation here in the Mid-South, Great Lakes, Upper Midwest, Northern Plains, Northwest, and Northern Rockies, with above average precipitation expected here in the Southeast and Southwest. So honestly, I would be more in agreement with the CANCEPS model than the rest of them. But as we take a look back at the expert guidance at the Climate Prediction, showing us pretty much what the CANCEPS model was showing us, with above average precipitation here in the Southeast, definitely would be in agreement with that. Above average precipitation expected in the Southwest, and below average precipitation expected in the Northwest, with equal chances for everybody else. Now that means either above or below average. I think the Ohio Valley is going to be coming below average precipitation, at least until the middle and end of the month, as I think that we are going to be coming in on well above average precipitation, which could mean some significant severe weather potential and some flooding, especially down here in the southeast and south central part of the country, with some potential significant severe weather here in the central plains, and especially here in West Texas. Now, before I forget, I want to show y'all the sea surface temperatures for the month of June, July, and August, as hurricane season starts on June 1st. We'll have my hurricane video up by Thursday or Friday. I'll let y'all know, of course, on next Facebook and here on YouTube community posts. But we take a look at the sea surface temperatures for the next 3 months. We can see we're going to be heading into a above average sea surface temperature pattern here in the main development region and here in the Gulf. And I do want to show y'all something very interesting. Take a look at August. You can see how well above average that is. So possibly we could be coming in on an active hurricane season. Let y'all know here in the hurricane outlook videos. So back to my thoughts on what we could expect for the month of June. Well, just like I said earlier, I think we're going to be pretty dry to start here in the Ohio Valley, Northeast, Great Lakes, Upper Midwest, Northern Plains. Pretty soggy here in the southeast, all the way into the south central part of the country. Dry as well here in the northern Rockies, but I think as we head into the middle and end of the month, I think we're going to be very soggy here out east. Flooding potential picks up here in the southeast, as well as some severe weather potential in the central and southern plains. As far as temperatures go, the Climate Prediction Center is showing us that pretty much of the country is heading into an above average pattern. I would sort of be in disagreement with that, as I think the eastern part of the country is going to be heading into a cooler than normal month of June. Now, that don't mean it's going to be cold. That just means it's going to be cooler than it normally is. Could still be hot, but still be a little bit below normal. But I'm thinking we're going to be a little bit below normal for the month of June here out east, and above normal, which could mean we could be coming in on a scorching hot June here out west, which could spark some significant severe weather activity here in the central part of the country, and a lot of heavy rainfall here in the southeast, and some drought relief, as well as you can see here could be coming in on enhanced early June convection, spark severe weather outbreaks, and increased precipitation across many regions, especially the southeast. So My bold prediction of what we could expect for the month of June is basically I think we're going to be coming out on record challenging heat waves across the north and west, explosive severe weather outbreaks, and widespread flooding in the central and southern part of the country, which is fueled by a supercharged jet stream and Gulf moisture, multiple high-impact convective events, which is going to result in a month that will redefine early summer extremes. So prepare for an active, unforgettable June, y'all, as we could be dealing with some significant heat waves out west, a cooler than normal east, and some significant severe weather in the central and southern part of the country, and some heavy rainfall in areas that came in on some significant drought conditions in the past couple of months in the southeast. So what does this year resemble? Well, the closest match is 2015. Why? Well, in 2015 we had a weak El Nino, just like here in 2026. Spring of that year, El Nino rapidly strengthened, just like it's doing this year. And in June of that year, heat expanded, storms ramped up, and resulted in above average temperatures across the north and west, which resulted in a severe weather pattern across the plains and heavy rainfall in the southeast. So that's the closest match that I could find on what we could expect here this June. So I hope this makes sense for y'all. If it didn't, let me know in the comment section down below. I'd be happy to clarify anything that I didn't make clear. So on to some interesting facts and folklore you either knew or maybe even not knew. Do you know that June is critical for U.S. agriculture? It aligns with peak vegetative growth, corn, soybeans, and other summer crops. Timely warmth and rainfall significantly boosts soil moisture and set the stage for strong yields. As warmth drives growth and development, rainfall replenishes soil moisture, and strong yields, better conditions lead to better harvests. And some folklore states that a good rain in June sets all in tune. June damp and warm does a farmer no harm. Timely moisture benefits agriculture. So we can see timely rain nourishes crops when they need it the most. Damp and warm, ideal conditions for healthy growth. Farmers' wisdom, generations of truth still hold strong to this day. So God bless all the farmers out there. We need y'all. Now, speaking of agriculture, here's the agriculture outlook for June. Overall, favorable and promising growing season as above normal temperatures are going to be expected, which accelerates crop development and growing degree days across the north and west. Enhanced precipitation and Gulf moisture boosts soil conditions in the central and southern U.S. Drought relief is going to be expected in key farming regions, especially in the south and east. And monitor localized flooding risks from active convection and severe weather outbreaks, as that is expected for this coming month. So stronger yield potential with warmth, moisture, and good growing conditions. As we can see, strong early summer support for U.S. farmers means that warmth and moisture sets the stage for robust yields. So if you're a farmer, it looks like it's going to be a good growing month for y'all out there. So God bless all our farmers out there. Thank you for what you do. So I hope each and every one of y'all enjoyed this June outlook. If you did, please make sure you hit that like and share button so more folks are informed about the weather. Also, leave me some feedback in the comment section down below, as any feedback helps provide you the viewer better and more informative content in the future. And also, if you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button down below, as everyone's weather we try to make weather forecasting fun and informative. So basically, I would expect a cooler than normal June here out east and a hotter than normal June out west, with it being a little bit dry out east to start off, unless you live down in the southeast and south central, as there could be some flooding and severe weather down in those regions. Could be dry in the northwest, but I think as we head into the middle and end of the month, I think we're going to be wetter than normal out east and a little bit drier than normal out west. But of course, that can and will change, so please take that with a grain of salt. And keep in mind, June 1st is the start of Atlantic hurricane season. I will have my hurricane outlook video up on either Thursday or Friday, so stay tuned for that, as it's looking like we could be heading into a strong El Nino hurricane season. I'll be breaking down what that means and determine whether it'll be an active or not so active hurricane season, as it's looking like the sea surface temperatures are a little bit above average, at least according to the models anyways. So I'll be letting y'all know what that means in that video, so stay tuned for that. So again, like, comment, subscribe, enjoy the month ahead, as it's looking like we could be dealing with a pretty active month of June, surprisingly. So if we do come in on some severe weather, I'll be letting y'all know on X, Facebook, and on here on YouTube community posts. So again, stay safe, stay cool, and as always, like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate all of y'all for watching, and until next time, never stop forecasting.